and welcome back to Date with the Divas. Thank you for clicking on our video. I know, well, we know the Divas know you're going to enjoy this. So, what do I always say? Click on that subscribe button if you haven't already. Remember to like our videos and also hit on that notification bell so you never miss out on our latest and greatest. And I know you guys will have stuff to say, so please, please, please comment. All right, Entourage, you know what to do. Grab your beverage of choice so we can get to the tea. Ms. Entreese, set it off.
Well, Divas, tonight the tea is so scalding that it's got the whole block hot.
Let me pull out the fan.
Right. The block is hot. The block is hot. I just gotta do that for it's what is
feeling hot, hot, hot.
So I am wearing black tonight.
Oh, I am too.
We are mourning the death of a reality TV icon. Miss Kenya Moore, for those of us who've watched Bravo, watched The Real Housewives of Atlanta, know that Kenya has given us many, many years of entertainment, of gasps, of chatter, lots of things to talk about through the seasons. She's known for getting it going, for pulling a stunt, for getting in an argument and taking things 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 steps too far. Well, Divas, on April 7th, 2025, Miss Moore took the stunt so far, Mama fell off the cliff.
She pulled the Thelma and Louise.
right.
I don't know that she meant to fall off. She meant to push somebody else, and she slipped and
she went solo.
They grabbed her foot and pulled her down too.
Right. She set a trap for herself by accident, you know.
Yes. So, for those of you who don't know, we are in season 16, of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. They are in the midst of a soft reboot. A soft reboot is when returning cast members are mixed in with new cast members. So we had Drew, Zadora, Portia, Williams, and Kenya Moore as returning housewives. And then we had some new housewives, Shamia Moore, who's been a longtime friend of, Brit Edie, Kelly, I don't know her last name, and Angela Oakley, who was married to Charles Oakley, the basketball player. So we're in the 5th episode. On the 4th episode, there was an altercation.
Is that Portia in the center?
Yes. Okay. And that's Phaedra Parks, who's also a returning cast member, but she has not made her appearance yet. I think Phaedra was brought in because Kenya Moore ended up getting suspended due to the stunt she pulled on episode 5. But I will say on the first episode, there was a little bit of tension between Brit Edie and Kenya Moore. Brit Edie felt like Kenya was not giving her the love, that she was being a little shady. But for those of us who know Kenya, we didn't see the shade, and whatever shade she was receiving, it can only be considered light shade.
What is the difference?
Okay.
Light shade, shade.
Is there a shade of there's different shades of shade?
Oh yes, there's many shades in the spectrum of shade. Okay.
Different levels.
Different levels of shade. So like in the first interaction, Brit Edie mentions that all the women are divorced. She's married. So she points out that all the women are divorced. And Kenya says, "Oh, are you married?" Because Brit only had a diamond ring on. She says, "Are you married or are you engaged?" And she says, "No, I'm married." And Kenya says, "Oh, because you don't have a wedding band on." And she says, "Everybody doesn't wear a wedding band. I got a new engagement ring, so I'm wearing my new ring." And Brit took that as Kenya being shady. Now, I didn't.
I did, though.
Did you?
I did, because she kept going on. She was like, "Oh, well," what did she say? Something like, "Oh, well, this is the new ring to the old ring," or something like this. But she kept going on it. Like, It was, to me, I felt it was shade. I'm sorry. When I
So if it was you, you would have took it as her being shady.
yes, I
Okay.
did.
I would have taken it as being shade too.
I mean, I just feel like most married people do have a band next to their engagement ring. So I just felt like it was an innocent question. Like, are you married or are you engaged?
I would.
It's one thing to do an innocent question. It's the next thing to keep pushing it and
That's
keep talking
right.
about it and keep
That's
talking
why.
about it
'Cause she
and keep
kept
talking about. I
going.
answered your question. Shut up and leave me the F alone.
Okay. So that's how Brit felt. She felt as our two divas felt. So she kept talking about it though, like Kenya's not nice to me, Kenya's not mean, she's mean to me, she's not, and we were like, girl, that was 3 episodes ago. We don't care about that anymore. So on episode 4, Angela Oakley has a dinner at the bank in Bankhead. Lava, I don't know if you know about Bankhead, but the girls were talking about it like they were deep in the hood.
Yes, it is the hood.
It is. Okay. So apparently it has a beautiful restaurant called The Bank, and Angela hosted the ladies at the bank. And at that dinner, they played a game, which is a staple of Housewives, where you ask shady questions. Well, Kenya was asked a question, can you be nicer? Can you speak nicely to Brittany? And Kenya said, of course I can speak nicely to anybody. And from there, Brit was like, no, you can't. You've been rude to me. Kenya says, you know what, honey, you need a moment, have it. And she's like, no, you need the moment. She's like, honey, I am the moment. At one point, Kenya said, peasants can't talk to queens. And I think when Kenya said that, it kind of set Brittany off because she went from a 5 to a 25 in the space of maybe 10 seconds. There was cursing. Kenya was all kinds of bees. I don't have to put up with this. Everybody's looking like, what's going on here? Because it just wasn't matching what was happening at the table, her level of anger towards Kenya. Kenya gets up, walks out with Portia and Shamia outside. Brit continues the yelling, the cursing, she don't know who she's dealing with. She don't know where I'm from, that type of talk. I got pistols and whips. She talks about her pistols and whips more than once. She's looking for her husband who was there as well. Her husband has, he's a little odd. So she's talking about pistols. She's talking about whips. She's asking for her husband. Kenya is visibly uncomfortable, gets in the back seat of Portia's car, and they drive away. That was episode 4. Now, a lot of Bravo fans felt like, why wasn't Brit reprimanded for talking about guns and whips? Mm-hmm. Where was Bravo's reaction to the cast being put in that type of situation with someone they don't know, who's getting angrier than what anybody feels is appropriate, and now she's talking about guns. So anyway, in episode 5, Kenya is having an opening for her spa that she has spent years and lots of money. She cried to one of the cast members that she invested $400,000 of her daughter's college fund. I don't know what kind of college cost you $400,000, but the point was made. She invested $400,000 into this business. She was, she needed it to go well. Last season, she had a soft opening that Bravo did not air. So this season, she was having a moment with this opening. All the ladies come. Let me say this. Brittany, in multiple scenes, was apologetic about her behavior.
Yes.
Yeah,
in conversation with the other women, she seemed to have woken up the next morning and felt like all kinds of, yes, all kinds
like
of
the producers told her to apologize.
all kinds of terrible. She says, I'm going to go, because a couple of the girls said, you need to let Kenya know that you do not mean her any harm and you have no plans to shoot her. Mm-hmm. She says, I'm going to go to the event and I'm going to bring flowers. Kenya talks to Portia and Kelly and basically makes it clear she's not in a forgiving mood and she's going to do a background check. Kelly says, well, maybe you should do a background check on these new employees for this business that you're opening.
Right, exactly.
Go off, girl. Do you. So anyway, all the women show up, including Brittany. Brittany is bearing flowers and a very apologetic attitude. She approaches Kenya with the flowers. Kenya pays her dust. Completely ignores her, walks by her, refuses to acknowledge her. At this point, Brittany is embarrassed. She's, I'm going to leave the flowers, but she exits. Thank God for her.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Because Kenya takes that moment at her opening of her $400,000 spa to get up, get everybody's attention, start talking about how there's someone in her circle who wants to bring her down. She does a whole beautiful speech, but she's going to pay these bitches dust. She does a would have been beautiful had she ended it there.
Thank you.
She did not. She had poster boards of Britney, and she begins to reveal them. We can't really see, but it's alluding to the fact that Britney's had some plastic surgery and she used to be this person. She's this person. She's a video hoe, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's poster 1. By the time we get to poster 3, we can't see it. It's completely blurred out. But apparently, from what Cynthia Bailey, who's narrating, says, it's a picture of Britney giving fellatio to a man. The whole room is stunned, shocked, disgusted. And most of the cast leaves. Yeah. Kenya was suspended. There's a little sign at the end of the episode from Bravo saying that due to Kenya's behavior, she has been suspended. We would not film with her for the rest of the season. They didn't say she was fired. They said we stopped filming with her for the rest of the season. So now everyone is online tussling in the comments. About whether or not Kenya was justified, 1, in what she did, and 2, whether Bravo's response was appropriate. So, Divas, was Kenya justified? In her mind, you threatened me with a gun, this is my reaction. What do you expect?
That's not the normal reaction to somebody threatening you with a gun. Most people are like, oh my gosh. She went to the next level.
She went the most. And I don't know if there would have ever been a time, but this was your opening. No. You used your daughter's money. Didn't you say this? This was for my
Exactly, daughter. And it needed to be good.
My daughter. You
totally took away from it.
I think her security. That would have been the move to do. She should have overhired security to put distance between her and Brent. That would have made a point to me versus
or not have her at the event.
Right.
Exactly.
Embarrass her by having security at the door and not letting her in. Maybe something like that if you wanted to do that.
Right.
But I do feel like maybe she kind of felt obligated to have her come because last season when she tried to show her venue, it didn't get aired probably because there was no drama there. So maybe she felt like she needed to add some drama there.
I think it was arrogance. It was arrogance.
Right.
It was total arrogance because you took the time to find someone to get these pictures
and then post it to blow them up, and then put it on a poster board.
So what was she thinking? I'm Kenya Moore and I am above reproach. That's kind of the impression that I got. I don't think she thought
she was above reproach. I think she thought this girl is looking for a moment and it's time I finally clock in for work because she won't leave me alone. She's like a little pester kid. You know, when you get little kids and they just start poking at you to annoy you, it's like, okay, you're asking for it. All right, how about this then? You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's like, if you keep poking me, I might accidentally just backhand slap you. And that's what it was, a backhand slap.
Maybe she should have just maybe she should have just did that.
Yeah.
She should have just did that.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a little extreme. Because
it was very extreme. It was very extreme.
And my thing is, I feel like, you know how they say, like, if you feed into it, you make them important. You make them bigger than it is, and you draw attention to it. And I feel like by doing the poster board, blowing bad boys up, you took time. You were really invested in your revenge, and that's a problem.
Well, the girl was after her for 3 to 4 episodes. The girl was after her for 3 or 4 episodes now.
Yeah, and not to say that Brit's reaction happened right then and there. But Kenya took the time
and that's what makes it so methodical and thought out, because you just took too much time. Too much time.
Well, that's part of the job, though. I mean, we don't tune in for them to be kumbaya with each other every 5 seconds, do we?
But see, I kind of believe there's a little bit of cinema in this too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't just that. Like, maybe I don't know that, like, okay, we're gonna need something. We're gonna need something from you, right? And maybe, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, but this is just under the table. This is just a temporary thing, right, y'all? Yeah, bravo. Yeah, it's gonna be a temporary thing. And you'll be back. But we just need something for this show because y'all just underwater.
So she's taking one for the team.
Or
Is
your
that what
own
you're saying?
legacy in the process?
And that's
Maybe
But
they didn't anticipate her doing that big.
we have many people that have done many things very, and they're influencers that we talk about every single day. There are political people that we talk about every single day. There are celebrities that we talk about every single day, right after they've done very nefarious
Extreme
or
things.
So I don't know if you guys remember the scene with Portia when she has lunch with Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to get, what was it that Kenya was doing to you that, because she hadn't seen it. So she was asking Brittany to explain. And then I thought she summed it up well when she said, I think Brittany has been watching Kenya on TV and she had an idea of who Kenya was in her mind, but Kenya is not in that place now. So she was like interacting with a Kenya that no longer existed or doesn't exist right now.
Yeah, and it's clear that Brit is also a fangirl because she could. You didn't really hug me. That's a lot. Well, I didn't want to get my makeup on you. I need a real hug. It's like, girl, every little thing that Kenya did, she would made a big deal out of it. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's almost like she damned if she do, damned if she didn't.
Almost like she wanted the Kenya more experience.
Yes,
and she got it.
That part.
And she got it.
Oh, she got it all right.
She got
blew
part
up in
two,
her
part
face.
3.
Thank you. She got all of the series in one moment.
So Kenya's very good friend, Cynthia Bailey, was at the event. Cynthia is a friend of this season. And Cynthia is the only one who really addresses Kenya in the moment. And she tells Kenya, I don't know what happened between you and that girl. I wasn't there, but what I just saw is beneath you. And I'm disappointed in you. And I'm leaving. And then Cynthia has been doing the interviews this last week in anticipation, I guess, of this episode airing, saying that Kenya has not spoken to her since this incident. She made a couple of attempts to text Kenya after this event with no response. But she reiterated that this disappointed me. I don't support this and I love Kenya, but I feel like she went too far. A lot of people feel like Cynthia is not being a loyal friend, that it's one thing to not approve of something your friend has done. It's another thing to publicly state that you don't support their actions when they're kind of down, like she's been fired and, she's under fire. I mean, what do you guys think? Is Cynthia being disloyal? Or is she being principled and a woman of integrity?
I think it's twofold.
It's exactly. I agree. Go Joe. No, go Joe.
Well, twofold. I do believe she was being a friend at that time, telling her that, I'm disappointed in you, because I agree. Her statement was great. She wasn't the only one, I believe, that said something similar, but she was the one that said it to her, which I was glad for, because you need your friend, if that's your friend, your friend should be able to tell you that.
Instead of going outside and saying it to the camera?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying.
You're saying she should have said it privately.
I know. It did have, but still. I don't know, because you mentioned that she tried to reach out, but they haven't put it this way.
What she said is they have not spoken since that day. She said she made a couple of attempts to text Kenya after, but had got no response. So now she's just giving Kenya her space.
Which, okay, fine. Now the second part, the second fold of it is, it's going to be expected of her to come on these shows, and it's going to be expected. Now, if she comes on these shows,
what's going to be expected?
For her to voice her opinion as
Cynthia. I think she's talking about Cynthia.
Cynthia, I'm still on. It's expected for her to come on the shows and start talking. Now, if she kept saying every show, well, I'm just going to leave it for this, and I'm going. It's damned if she do, damned if she doesn't. So to me, there's no kind of easy ground. I still believe, though, it's I still think it's fine for her to stick to her ground and say, yeah, I was disappointed in her. She doesn't have to keep digging on it, but it's fine for her to say, yeah, I was disappointed because she said it on the show. Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna, chime with Joe, is I agree that Cynthia needs to let it be known, like, to protect her image. Like, I don't support what you've done, because she need to protect herself. And I think that she was okay by saying to her friend on camera, like, what you did was wrong, and that's it. Then just leave it at that. Everything else, then you do behind the scenes, because it's already in ink.
Yeah.
In camera that you disagree with it, and then leave it at that. I feel the ongoing of it, that's where the part where it becomes that you're not being a good friend. But I feel like
doing the interviews today, you mean?
I just keep doing. She could have done the interview today, but let's say I think it should have been like, okay, I said it on the show, and then I do the one interview, and then that's it. Keep pondering on it, and pounding on it and pounding on it and pounding on it in public is an insult to Kenya. To Kenya. Now, again, what you could have done is you could have felt like she's wrong, leave it at that, and correct your friend behind the scenes. Correct your hand behind the scenes, but I feel like it's a dig when you keep
poking
the bear.
Poking the bear.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave it alone. You said what you had to say, but I guess Cynthia at the end of the day has to, she's thinking about her image. She's thinking about protecting herself, because if everyone knows that I'm her friend, her actions are going to be tied to me. Are people going to think that that's what I represent? And she doesn't want that. And I get it. But again, you voiced it. It's already in print that you didn't. Support your friend from behind and just go on.
That's true. I will also say, though, I feel like with some of the viewers' comments that I've read, I kind of agree with the fact that, what Lavin Joe says, she can state her agreement, but she also needs to also state too about Brit's wrong side. I do feel like no one from the cast is admitting how wrong Brit is. It seems like more fans are upset about Brit's threats than the cast is.
Well, I felt like, because I was upset with Brit too when she did what she did. I was livid. Like, get this weirdo off my TV screen. But then when she came back the next day, so apologetic.
I don't think it was literally the next day, Antrice. I don't think it was literally the next day.
It to me, I don't know.
Yeah, but she was still very apologetic.
She was very, and it's like, how mad is the cast supposed to stay with her when the girl is saying?
But guess what though? She went to the cast first before going to Kenya first to apologize on the apology tour.
Isn't that normal? When you get into a fight with somebody, you go to other people to talk about how you should approach them before you go to them. Isn't that what we all do? We don't all do that.
A couple people, but not everybody else. But that she waited until Kenya's big moment to try to make up with her. We're talking about Kenya's moment, messing it up herself, but she was also waiting for Kenya's moment to apologize when she probably could have done it at a different moment as well before that night.
I agree. She could have did it before.
She could have, but again, this is what I keep telling you. There's a little
there's an effect. There needs to be an effect.
But some people are of the mind, if you cuss me out publicly, you apologize.
Right, but do it at a different public event besides my event. Because she wasn't even sure if she was going to be able to be invited to
get in.
Right.
What did Portia say? I hope your wig is glued down.
Right. But also, speaking of which, Antrice, guess what though? Remember the scenes before this when Kenya was talking to a couple of the other cast members, I think it was Kelly or whatever, about the incident with Brit, and they were gaslighting her, acting like, "Oh, I didn't hear her say that," or did she really mean that? You know what I mean? So
about the gun.
Then her castmates were still not fully supporting the truth of what happened.
Nobody was really I feel like everybody was tuning Brit out at that point, and nobody was really paying her any mind. You know how some people go off and they just start talking crazy? You're like, girl, go home.
And that's why I kind of feel too that it wasn't, that's her statements weren't necessarily taken as like a
real threat.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, not that it's a good or a bad thing, maybe they should have, whatever, but even me, when I heard it, I was kind of like, okay, girl, you say, how when you're like, hold me back.
Yeah. Like, girl, you're doing too much. Like stop. Even her husband said, you're doing too effing much. But do you guys think it's girl code that if I'm beefing with someone, you're beefing with them too? Like, can you hang out if you hang out with my enemy? Because she called Portia a traitor because Portia posted something with her and Brit the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And she's done with Cynthia, seems like.
But remember, her and Portia, they have history.
True.
Yeah.
Right? So do you really let all of that history go underneath and you pat it down and hide it? Nah, it's still coming up from underneath the covers.
And then she posted something Nene said about Cynthia, that Cynthia will hang out with your enemy because she's a flip-flopper. So is that girl code that you can't be cool with my enemy?
I think it depends on the circumstance. In this particular circumstance, I think people should have just played, just let it go. Now, as it relates to, like, as Lavelle said, with Portia can do whatever the hell she want to do because her and Kendra just they're not on the same page. So that's nothing which go. As it relates to Cynthia, I feel like she's always been that way. She's just a wave. She rides it.
Yes.
Yeah, she just rides whatever
She even
wave
showed
it
you
is.
that in this episode because she was like, "What? I was gone and this happened. What happened?"
But I'm asking you guys: is it girl code? Can your girl hang out with your enemy and you be okay with it?
It depends on what type of. If y'all like hanging out every weekend, and I know that this enemy talks crap about me every time, blah blah blah. I'm like, are you really standing up for me if she brings it up, or like, will I be able to trust you in a room without me being in there? Would be the question. So it just depends.
If I just lost my job because of this hoe, and I see you posting with her on Instagram,
you are breaking good code because my enemy is your enemy too. We both gonna,
Thank you. And I agree. It depends on like the extremity, because it all depends on the degree of friendships. All of a sudden, you wasn't friends with her. Now you want to be friends with her? I'm gonna need for you to back up. Now, if we were equally friends,
Ace boom
maybe
boom, like we's hanging out, we tough. And our kids play together and all this stuff. That's a different story.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Because if we were all three friends at one point,
right,
then
that's
I can expect you to just drop this girl. You know what I mean? But if she's been my enemy from day one,
and you've been my best friend from day one.
Right. Then I'm gonna have some questions for you. Unless you get tea for me on the side, unless you're doing, undercover work for me. Then
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it all depends on the degree of friendship. Because if we've been cool and she just new on the block, and you siding with her, I'm gonna be like, well, what's that about? But also, sometimes you can have a conversation and be like, listen, your beef ain't got nothing to do with me. She's cool with me.
Just because you
she ain't done nothing to me,
but doesn't mean I gotta follow behind you.
That's exactly it. But again, she lost her job. But then again, you should think about you need to hold yourself accountable for the fact that you went off the deep end.
Y'all all talking this way.
But they are. I'm saying ride or dying. Okay.
Yes, but no, but maybe so.
What complicates it is it's Cynthia's job too. Like, girl, I gotta earn a check. I am filming with this girl.
But she's a friend of. She ain't gonna do that many scenes with her now. Come on, let's be real.
Thank you. And Cynthia's maybe trying to make sure she in more scenes.
She want her residuals.
Right.
Thank you. How many episodes? How much do I get paid per episode? Oh, I'm only in 3. Maybe if I can get in 6, I'll get an extra check.
A couple scenes with Brittany, some extra.
I get this new Gucci bag now.
Thank you. Something.
I feed too. Well, Entourage, jump down in the comments and let us know whose side are you on. Are you Team Kenya, Team Brittany, Team Bravo, Team Revenge Porn? Like what? Are you team, if you go low, I can take it to hell and you have nothing to say about it? Because that's how a lot of people feel. Like, once you strike at me, you can't determine how I strike back.
We said that last week. For every action
is a reaction. And that's exactly, I like that. Do you go low when I go hell? I like that.
And should Bravo bring Kenya back next season?
They probably are. I think it's all going to depend on viewership.
Yeah.
And Kenya's attitude. Like right now, she's popping off on Andy Cohen, and I want to whisper in her ear, girl, no, like that's
Thank you. He's the man that signs the checks.
not the way. Just go somewhere and be quiet.
Now, this part you can stick to the script. You don't got to do it over there, but you got to do it right here.
Thank you.
But if you made it this far in the video, you must be having a good time. So why not hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We drop the tea every single week, and we always got to make sure that it's piping hot. But that's it for us tonight.
Good night.
Good night.
Nice.